I knew that that was something I needed to have.
All right, like in your heart, which is my
They're all
book.
clearing the House of Information.
None other than one of those very heroes. So, for those who don't know, I'd like for you to take a couple minutes.
Are you originally from the Charleston area?
And the youth in South Carolina.
Yeah, raised.
Great. Well, my name's Alex.
The team is when the Emmanuel music to spread love and.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. We are in the building. Let's go. Hello, world, and welcome back to Real Talk with ReZsaun, where nothing's off limits. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that. I am your host, ReZsaun Local. Now, here on Real Talk with ReZsaun, everything's debatable. So on any given week, we can be discussing anything from sports to music to politics. You name it, we'll discuss it. Now, for those who are new to the show, Real Talk with ReZsaun also has a goal of shining a light on the great things that are happening all across the country. We used to call this the Local Celebrity Spotlight, but something funny happened during COVID-19, and we realized that we didn't have to limit ourselves to the low country. So today we have expanded our reach to Washington, D.C. to bring in national motivational speaker, motivational artist, if you will, entertainer, educator, Mr. Brian Heath. Thank you so much for joining me, sir.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate being here, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, for those who do not know who you are, please introduce yourself to the audience.
First of all, man, thank you, ReZsaun, for the platform, bro. You know, we need, in the time we're in right now, we need positive platforms, so I appreciate you. Brian Heath, motivator, educator, author, father, multifaceted, but originally from the Pittsburgh area, but I've been rocking and rolling in D.C. since about the early 2000s. And man, I had a phenomenal time, man, chasing dreams, impacting lives.
Okay, so just to give them a little bit of background, because I do know you come from a background of education. Can you talk about the journey from, you know, where you're from, how you went through education, just to get to where you are now?
Absolutely, man. You know, I say I'm the product of two households. My mom and dad were together, but my dad was in business and my mom was an educator. So I kind of got the best of both worlds growing up. My mom was a part of a program. She ran a program called Upward Bound. And Upward Bound is for first generation college students. So my sister and I grew up in an environment where we saw my mom changing lives. So that kind of guided me into education. But my father, our conversation would be about business and entrepreneurship and in that capacity. So as I got older, I had appreciation for both, but I really developed my career in terms of my 9 to 5 as a teacher. And I went to South Carolina State, HBCU.
Okay,
it was known for creating great teachers. And since then, again, about 15 to 20 years in the classroom, middle school, high school, now the college level at Prince George Community College.
Wow. So you really matriculated through it, first going through the actual school and then going back and teaching through all the schools. So I'll ask you this. Of the three, I mean, you're in college now. So like of those levels, what's your favorite level to teach?
My favorite level would probably be the impact. That's tough, man, because I love middle school because it's very influential, but I would say the college level. The college level, these guys, their minds are ready. They're ready for my intensity. They're ready for my push. And you're really shaping that mind that's prepared to go out into the workforce or transition to a 4-year institution. So I think I love the college lane the best.
All right. So, and you also were a principal, correct?
Yes, principal, vice principal, dean of students, classroom teacher, coach.
That's
I
crazy.
did it all, bro.
That's crazy. So, you know, I also come from a background of education. I taught 4th and 5th grade. So like that's in my heart. Like I love, that's one reason that I really look up to you, you know, in your position, because no matter how you matriculated and how you moved up, you've never forgotten the stuff that came with it and the things that people needed. So shout out to you for that, man. Let's talk about your books. Let's talk about your books, because I want to go from the book to the speaking aspect. I really want to dig into the speaking stuff because you know how I feel about that. But let's talk about your books. Tell us about your books. You have 2 books, correct?
I had 2 books. Now, the first one to me came by accident. The first book is called Beautiful Power, A Love Letter to Black Women. And at the height of love and hip hop, I was sitting with my then girlfriend. We were on a couch watching TV. And I'm watching Love and Hip Hop, and I'm seeing girls smack each other, throw drinks into their faces, curse each other out. it was like a really toxic environment. And I kept saying to myself, as a Black man, I don't like to see my sisters depicted in such negativity over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's entertainment, but I would begin to see the same behaviors on the show in my real life students. So I knew it was having an impact. So I said, Brian, what if you came with a concept where you were able to write a love letter to Black women, telling them from a brother's perspective? The only book that had been out before then, kind of similar, was Think Like a Man, Act Like a Woman. Is that correct?
Yeah, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man.
But that book was really telling Black women, you really want to think like a man to get ahead. And it was from a man, my frat bro, you know, it was from a man telling a woman, if you want to get ahead, you have to act like this. I didn't want to write a book like that. My book was purely about my love, respect, and admiration for Black women. So that's why it's called The Love Letter. But to give it that woman's voice, I went out and interviewed over 100 women between the ages of 18 and 75 to ask about self-love, relationships, education, work-and balance, all that stuff. So the book was really validated by women. And what happened was, when I wrote the manuscript for the stage performance, my agent read it, was like, Brian, this is too dope. Let's take it and make the stage performance and the book.
Wow.
And so we translated the manuscript into a book, and now we have a stage show that goes with it, and we also have the book as well.
Wow. Okay. See, I didn't even know. So I didn't know it was a play.
Yeah, well, not a play. It
a movie.
fuses live performing arts with DJs and me. So it's a real ill combination. We did about 5 or 6 sold out shows here in Maryland when the book dropped. And we're thinking about relaunching this year, but we got to see what happens with COVID.
Absolutely. So, I mean, is there anywhere that the viewers could watch that? Is there anything like online for it, or?
We don't have the full performances online, but we do have some clips. As a matter of fact, I may re-upload some tonight just so viewers can see it. But it's a beautiful show. The women appreciate it. Women will cry, they'll laugh, they're high-fiving their homegirls. It's a really fun evening. And again, you also can leave with that book as well.
Word, dope. And book number 2?
Book number 2 is called Get Ignited. And what happened, ReZsaun, is probably over about 8 years of me speaking professionally, every time I jumped off stage, a young bull like yourself or somebody else would run up on me and say, well, Mr. Heat, how do I do this? How do I do that? And if I do this, how do I do that? And I started finding myself answering the same questions over and over again.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, this must be information they need. It's going to help them get to the next level. Let me put together a blueprint to get ignited, to take your dream from who you are and self-identity and what your gifts and your talents you possess, and then how to structure it, galvanize yourself for the pushback, and then kind of blasting through with goals and chasing your vision, surrounding yourself with the right team. I put it all in the book, and it did so well. It was the #1 hot new release on Amazon.
Okay, and that's still for release on Amazon. And Beautiful Power is also for release on Amazon, or just on your website?
Both books are on Amazon currently. Yeah.
All right. We'll make sure we add the links to those on this interview for sure. That's dope. So that actually leads me right where I wanted to go. Get Ignited gets me to exactly where I want to be in the interview, which is Brian Heat, national, international motivational speaker. Where does this guy come from?
So, I'm a product of hip hop.
Word.
And to me, in hip hop and entertainment, it was always about finding the best of who you are and turning it up. So Brian Heat is me turning up who I am naturally. I realize in hip hop, you always have a stage name. And so if I told you all the stage names I came up with before Brian Heat, you laugh, bro. It's a lot of different monikers we tried to create until we found Brian Heat. And to me, when I found it, it was like divine, because it really matched my speaking style, my intensity. But I really want to give my special shout out to a school called University of Akron. Every year, they do a Black Male Summit, and it's been taking place since about 2010, 2011. And in 2011, when I first started speaking, I got a chance through the Akron Hip Hop Consortium. They were able to refer me to be a keynote speaker at that year's summit. And that year I spoke to, maybe there was about 15 different colleges in the audience, and I burned it down. They loved my energy. And from that particular conference, because all those other schools were there, they all saw me and my name started popping around because they all came to that University of Akron Black Male Summit.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. University of Akron, go Zips.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Zips. Didn't Shaka, was Shaka there? Shaka Smart came from Akron, right?
Sounds like the name sounds familiar.
Because he went from Shaka was at Akron, and then he went to University of Texas. Now he's still in Texas.
I think so. Okay,
Shaka
that sounds
Smart.
like that's the move, right?
Word. Okay. So how much of Brian Heat is, and I don't even know your government name. What is your government name?
Brian Hamlin.
Hamlin. Okay.
Yeah.
So how much
Yeah.
of Brian Heat is Brian Hamlin, and how
I'd
much of
say
it
about
is
95%.
Okay. All right. So
ReZaun, I had an idea, ReZaun, that a lot of times people have two personalities. They have their 9 to 5, and then they have their after 5.
Yes.
A lot of times that person's not the same person. So it's 50% effort in the morning, 50% effort in the evening. I wanted to have a focus that represented 100% of me.
Yeah.
So think about it. I have a mentoring program at Prince George's where I impact, inspire, equip, and educate men of color in college. That's my 9 to 5, right? I built that program from the ground up. 10 years in a running, 1,500 guys in that program. When I'm done at work, I don't switch gears to become a plumber. I don't switch gears and become a fitness instructor. I switch gears to go right into motivational speaking, writing books, entertainment. And it's the same thing I'm doing during the day, but it's structured differently. So I get to give 100% of me to everything I'm doing because I aligned everything does that make sense? I'm aligned.
Yes.
So when you ask me how much of Brian Heat is Brian Hamlin, 95% minimum.
Love that. I love that. So I want to touch on your website because this is something I got to say. Like I told you this when we met in Columbia, when I was trying to develop my motivational speaking website, the Real Talk with ReZsaun website, I was like, I don't know where to start. And I remember I had just seen you at the Men of Color Summit in Greenville, South Carolina. And I was like, this dude's dope. Maybe he has something I can give myself a starting point from. And I went to your website and I literally looked at your website and I was like, oh, he has this. I need to have my version of that. He has this. I need to have my version of that. It was such a great thing. So anybody who hasn't had an opportunity to do this, go to www.brianheat.com. Check out his website. It's phenomenal. It has music. It has his books. It has his speeches. His even down to your media kit is just so great. Who did that? Like, was that all you, or did your team work on that?
So let's put it out there. As an entrepreneur, when you're first getting started, you have all the hats. You're the graphic designer. You're the talent. You're the manager. You're the booking agent, right? So literally, that website is 10 years of versions being updated. The first website I did by myself. I got it on GoDaddy, one of those websites tonight's on GoDaddy. And over the years, as I began to make more money, I was able to invest in other people to come on board, like independent contractors. But I will say the magic of my visual branding is really due to my buddy, Derek Herring. He has a company called The Design Cafe. And one thing I'll tell entrepreneurs, once you find people that do good work, make them a part of the family. Keep returning back to that business. I've been working with Derek for at least 7 to 8 years. So he does my flyers, my branding, my website. He does my digital flyers. You've seen my branding. All of my branding looks the same. It matches, it lines up. Very high quality, I call it a sexy polish. But the reason why it all looks like that is because I have the same designer who knows what I want to do. And he has all my creative assets. So when I go to him, he knows how to hook it up. If I want to push the boundaries, we know how to do that. But again, my guy, Derek Herring, does my website and all of my digital marketing.
Nice. Now, who does the music when you do your live shows? I call them live shows because like it's people think about motivational speeches like, they think about, like the TED Talks, so like yours is more of an experience than it is a stand and listen. How did you come up with that, the vision for that, and like who does the music? I want to know who does the music, because if they have a album of beats, I need to hear them.
So I'll say this again, going back to hip hop. Coming up in hip hop in the 80s, you had a lot of fusion. You had graffiti, you had dancers, you had visual projection, you had the MC, you had all these different elements in hip hop. Hip hop is not just, oh, rapper, DJ.
Right.
It's a lot of different elements. And since I grew up in that element, I knew that my energy was too big to be behind a podium trying to deliver a message. I knew that as a teacher, they would laugh at me because I would teach with my hands.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, so, yeah. So again, I wanted my stage experience to be an experience.
Yeah.
So I began to put like projection visuals up. And a lot of times, to be honest with you, ReZsaun, I like to use cinematic orchestra music. Like I like albums like Inception, albums like Tron Legacy. These are like these big sounds. And I'll tell you a secret. When I first got started, and my name was kind of just getting out there, normal conferences, when it's time for the next opportunity, the big crowd will just kind of gather themselves in the main conference space and they'll wait for the speaker. Nah, when you come to see me, I would tell the volunteers, make the crowd line up outside, and they would hear this music in the background of where they're about to go. When they walk into that conference room, the lights are dark, this Brian Heat visuals coming off, this music's coming, and they're already like this. Oh shit, what is this?
Yep.
And again, when you're able to capture them from a multi-sensory standpoint, now you got them when it comes for the speaking. But I'll be on the beat side. I have guys, old students of mine that now are producers and they make beats. Even my son started to make some beats and I'll use some of his stuff. So
shout out to Quest.
I'm trying to find production wherever I can get it.
Yeah, shout out to Quest.
Yes, sir.
All right. So yes, I do. I follow. So if y'all don't know, I follow Brian. I've followed Brian for a while, man. He's such a great guy. And I want to get into some more stuff as well. But again, just the person that you see right here is like the person that you are, which is dope. I feel like there's a lot of parallels between our stories, which is really, really interesting. Even from the standpoint of like, you run a mentoring organization, I run a mentoring organization. You in the public speaking, and like I just it's so much to it that I really, really enjoy. Let's talk about what's going on in the world. Because I think we'd be remiss. Tomorrow is especially in my town of where I'm from, Charleston, South Carolina. It's the 5th year anniversary of the Manual 9 shooting. We had, George Floyd. We had Ahmaud Arbery. We had Breonna Taylor. We're talking about police injustice and all these things. What are your thoughts about the current climate surrounding police injustice, police brutality in our country, and on the protests?
So first of all, man, my prayers go out to the Arbery family, Breonna Taylor family, George Floyd, Rashard Brooks, who just got killed in Atlanta. And I don't know the name of the 2 young brothers they found in Florida, the lynchings. There's been 2 lynchings. I don't know their names just yet, but to that family. To be honest with you, what you're experiencing, what we are all experiencing is 400 years worth of karma, right? That I do believe. I'm a spiritual man, ReZsaun. What I know about you, you're spiritual as well.
Absolutely.
The universe has to balance itself. You can't have a group of people that were forcibly brought to this country and then oppressed for 400 plus years at every level of existence. And you have to realize that from for a spiritual standpoint, the universe is not going to allow that for so long. So I call that karma, that it has to come back.
Yeah.
But, and something happened. The big question is, why George Floyd? Right? There's been other killings. There's been other shootings. The Mike Browns. It's been the Philando Castiles. It's been the Jonathan Crawfords.
Yep.
None of those were able to spark the international base, right? But this is what happened. I think it was a perfect storm of the COVID-19 quarantine. So you put people of all races all around the world and you put them isolated in their homes for 2 months, that isolation begins to break you down.
Yeah.
I don't care how strong you are, it begins to work on you.
Yeah.
So it begins to work on your mental. You know, some of us may have had financial challenges, right? I don't, you know, whatever your household looks like. So now, again, that's all working on you. 2 months into that process, you may know people that caught COVID-19. You're dealing emotionally with that. You may have had COVID-19. You're dealing with that.
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, on this certain day, you see a black man on his stomach, hands handcuffed behind his back, pleading for his life for not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9 minutes. And everybody around the world watched it at the same time. And what you saw was, you literally saw a life leave a body in 9 minutes.
Yeah.
No threat. He posed no aggression. And I think when you mix all that together, that gave the worldwide, we're tired of it.
Yeah.
We're tired, we're done. And again, going back to that 400 years of karma, all it takes is that cliche, that straw that broke the camel's back. And what we're experiencing is that straw broke.
Yeah.
And now the entire world is completely frustrated, and I feel the pain, man. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. And again, I just want to take, again, like he said, the families, like, we don't know, you know, y'all's pain at all, but it's been a long time coming. There's a lot of stuff that's happening that needs to happen. And I honestly believe that change is coming. I believe that change is definitely coming. What are your thoughts about the changes that we see happening, you know, around the world right now?
I'll be honest with you. I've talked to a bunch of people, ReZsaun, and I'll start with this. There was a clip where Steven Jackson had George Floyd's daughter on his shoulders, and they were spinning around, and she made what I consider one of those Disney World comments. And she said, "My daddy changed the world."
My daddy changed the world.
Now that thing, hey, ReZsaun, that hit me.
Yeah.
Because where I knew that was true, she had to lose him for it to happen.
Yeah.
And as a father of a child who is relatively the same age as she is, knowing that I could change the world, but I would have to sacrifice my life and my son would have to lose me, I gladly would do it to change the world, but the pain I know my son would then have to endure. So let's start there.
Yeah.
I really believe that we are experiencing what I consider unprecedented times. For Black people and people of color, I asked my father this, ReZsaun, 3 weeks ago. I said, what's going to have real impact, Dad, in terms of race relations, justice and equality for Black people, the whole shebang? Police brutality, he says, son, white hearts softening. Oh, and ReZsaun, I got pissed, bro. I can't lie to you. I got off the phone and was like, white heart softening? I don't have the time to wait for that. I'm not waiting for somebody just randomly one day to say, oh, you know what? Those Black people are okay. Let's be there for them.
Yeah.
No, but this is what happened. That whole sequence, COVID-19, isolation, finances, sickness, mental health. Then you watch a George Floyd. The George Floyd incident caused that white heart to soften. It was the perfect storm to get our allies, our non-Black supporters, everyone saying the same thing. What makes this movement different is the amount of non-Black supporters.
Yeah.
There's always been a diverse support base, and since going back to the 60s, but never like this. Even today, I don't know if you're aware of this today, I'm pretty sure you are, even though it got some criticism, Donald Trump signed an executive order today initiating some conversations about police reform.
Yeah.
The Republicans were never about that, right? So even if it's not the best move, because everybody on CNN was killing it, they said it didn't tell the police what to do. What it more said is, for those agencies that do these things, we're going to give you more money.
Yeah.
We're going to give you grants. We're going to give you. So he's not punishing the ones who don't do it.
Right.
He's rewarding the ones that
To
do.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were criticizing that. But if you look at, I posted something on my Instagram about this. If you were to look on my page or Google it, there has been sweeping police reform happening all over the world in a very short period of time.
Yes.
So to answer your question, long story made short, I do believe there's change. There's going to be more changes, but you can't fix 400 years in 2 or 3 weeks.
Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely. I think that's a great place to leave it right there. Thank you so much for that, man. That's an amazing statement. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up because I know your time is valuable, and I really appreciate you doing this interview. Hopefully, you'll come back and do another one, in the future.
Okay, can I add this, ReZsaun?
Oh, absolutely.
I really want people to understand. It is difficult as anyone to live as an adult, right? I don't care what your background is.
Yeah.
You have to pay bills. You have a family. You have professional responsibilities. But as a Black person that lives in these United States, it's gotten to a point where killing. There was something I posted, and this is what it said. It was somebody's sign from their protest.
Mm-hmm.
It said racism and racial inequality is so American. When you protest against it, it's like you're protesting against America.
Yeah.
ReZsaun, let's say it one more time. Racial inequality and racism is so ingrained in America that protesting and advocating against it is actually looked at as anti-American.
Yeah.
So as a Black person that walks around and lives a life daily, you kind of feel like a target on your back, even in the midst of paying your bills, going to work, providing for your family. And what starts to happen is Black people have developed a level of PTSD. Black people have developed a level of emotional numbness to protect their inner heart from the death they see so routinely.
Yes.
Like, guys, listen, George Floyd got killed 3 weeks ago. Breonna Taylor, that case is still open. Rashard Brooks just got killed.
Right.
But listen, we still have 2 guys that got lynched in Florida but like 10 days ago.
Yeah, and then 2 in California, like this week, like 3 days ago. Yeah.
So my point becomes is, and my message to my people are, we have to figure out a way to run this marathon without killing ourselves in the process. Meaning the content can be very emotionally heavy to watch CNN over and over again.
Yeah.
And you're watching this imagery. You're watching funerals. You're watching Al Sharpton deliver eulogies every single day. You're watching families cry out about justice. You go to social media, it's the same thing. You have to find a way to center yourself, mind, body, and spirit, stay in prayer, make sure you're getting out, exercising, staying aware of the information, finding a way that you can advocate for change in a capacity that makes sense for you, but do it in a way that we need you for the marathon.
Yeah.
We don't need you to burn out. So be careful with the content. And this is the big thing I tell Black people. What you're also going to start seeing right now are our allies coming to us, asking us a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
So our white friends and our non-Black friends, hey, ReZsaun, what about this? Hey, listen, it is not our job to be their encyclopedia.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, we have to protect our energy. You don't want to give too much of yourself. This is going to take a while to do, my family.
Yeah.
Let's pace ourselves. Let's keep ourselves filled up. And let's engage this conversation in whatever way best fits who we are in terms of our gifts and talents.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Like I said, I'm gonna wrap because I don't want this thing to end. I know Zoom has timing on stuff before, and I don't want them to cut us off in the middle of the interview. But any parting thoughts before we close? First of all, where can they find you? And parting thoughts.
Social media, Brian Heat at Instagram. Got some great content over there. Have a good time with my folks over there. Also, it's Brian Heat at Facebook, and then it's B Heat Rockstar at Twitter, at B Heat Rockstar at Twitter. but most of my time I spend on IG. And again, good content. I don't believe in followers, so I have nothing but leaders on my page. So come holler at me, man. Again, Brian Heat, Facebook, Brian Heat, Instagram, @BHeatRockstar on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, man. I consider it an honor. You're definitely, like I've told you multiple times, both in typing and in person. I'm such a fan of yours. That I think you belong up there with the names like the Les Browns, like the Eric Thomases. I consider you on that level. So I definitely count it an honor and a privilege to be able to interview you. And again, I hope that you come back in the future because I know you have so much more to say. So thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and close. Thank you, everybody, for watching this week. Reminder that the Local Celebrity Spotlight shines every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. where I interview my local celebrities and unsung heroes. Tomorrow night, I'm actually going to be doing another interview with a good homeboy of mine, Mr. Taj Reek, Spellbound. We actually went to middle and high school together, so this should be really, really fun. Join us as we discuss the things that he has going on. He says he's a poet, a writer, and a thinker. I have no idea what that means, but that should be fun. This and all my shows, in addition to, if you are doing something in the community that you would like the light shined on, please reach out to me on my website. That's www.realtalkwithrezaun.com so we can discuss getting you on the show. This and all of my shows, in addition to the Car Chronicles series, is now available for your listening pleasure via Apple, Google, Spotify, and any place you can find podcasts. You can also find them on my website. That's www.realtalkwithrezaun.com. If you'd like to be made aware of when I go live, because sometimes it is unscheduled, please be sure to click the follow or subscribe tab and turn on the notifications so that you will know when something new has been posted to the page. In the meantime, please follow me on social media to stay up to date on what's happening with Real Talk with ReZsaun. Go anywhere, type in Real Talk with ReZsaun, and I will pop up. But I'm going to make one special request. Please follow me on YouTube. I need way more YouTube followers. Feel free to leave comments, questions, whatever else you'd like to say in the comment section or the message section. I love reading your messages and getting your feedback, even if it's negative. I would also appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star rating on the podcast or a review on my Facebook or YouTube channel. I am currently accepting invitations for speaking engagements and event hosting opportunities. If you'd like for me to speak at a host or event, please request me via my website. That's www.realtalkwithrezaun.com. In closing, always remember, God is everything, and without him, we are nothing, so never forget where your help comes from. And if a man doesn't stand for something, he's bound to fall for anything. Now that is real talk. Thank you to Brian Heat. Thank you to everybody for watching, and I will see y'all tomorrow night. Peace.